Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to put together a little bit of a video. I'm going to be doing some spring cleaning. I need to organize my deck collection. It is extremely cluttered and crazy and just kind of all over the place from the winter. I really want to organize it and kind of put it into different categories just for me to be able to easily find things and just kind of, I don't know, like move that stagnant energy. Like it's just, to me, sometimes it gets a little stagnant and I just kind of want to move everything around. I'm also going to be showing my springtime deck picks during this video as well too. And I'm going to be doing this video throughout the day. So there's going to be some of the videos going to be shot from my cell phone. Some of it's going to be done up here. That's why this is all clear and there's no decorations or anything, because I will be using this space to go through some different baskets and just clear some stuff out and maybe reorganize some of my stuff. So let's get into this. Let's check it out and let's see what I've got going on and what needs to be corrected. I'm also going to go through some decks too and maybe remove some stuff as well. There is a couple decks that I have that I've been kind of hanging out in purgatory, not really using them, not really connecting with them, not really resonating with them. So there will be some that I will be probably just moving on and finding new homes for. This is my collection, the majority of it. There is no organization here. It is literal chaos. I have decks everywhere. They are scattered all over my house. They're just everywhere. I'm thinking I'm going to organize this into seasons. So I need to figure out what decks have spring and summer energy as opposed to others that may have winter fall energy. And then there's the ones like Outgrow Yourself where I got to figure out where they fit in. I also want to put aside the ones that I want to work with this spring and have them available for me to do that with. So I'm going to have to set up a basket or something so that I can keep these separate from my full collection. So I'm just going to start pulling them off the shelves and putting them into piles according to winter and fall, and then another pile for summer, spring feeling decks. And I'm just going to kind of go at it that way for right now. I can always go back after and put different ones in different spots, but for right now, I'm just going to kind of roughly put them into the category that I think they'll fit into. This way, it'll make it easier for me to organize at the end. Right through this door is my Indigo Moon space, and yes, I live in a 120-year-old decommissioned church. Okay, so it took me a little bit, but I got them all cleared off and it's super dusty, but I was able to create my piles. So right here, I've got my winter and what I think feels like fall decks. And then right here next to it, I have what I feel is my spring and summer stack. So I like how this is already broken up into sections. So I think I'm going to do a winter, a fall, a summer, and spring. I feel like that'll flow really nice and it'll just work good. So now I'm just going to grab some dusting stuff and clean this. So that's the thing with living in an old church is there's tons of dust. It's a forever battle here, I'll tell you. All right, so we're nice and clean and cedar approved. So now I'm going to start filling the shelves up. So I just got to grab from each pile and just start putting them into their sections. So my winter and fall, and then my spring and summer stuff. This is my one basket that I have that has all of my client and customer decks in it, as well as a few stuff that's just hanging out in here. I have to figure out, there's some decks that I need to figure out if I'm going to keep or I'm moving on, stuff like that, right? So I got to figure out what I'm going to do with all of this. All right, so I've got my winter and fall done. Now I just got to get my spring summer stuff in, and I've got a little pile started right here of the decks that I'm going to be moving on. I emptied out that basket, so I've got those decks all over my table, and I just got to figure out what I'm going to do with them. I got this extra box right here, which I think I want to put my seasonal decks in that I'm working with so that I can get to them. I still have my old basket that I had everything else in, and I think I'm still going to use it, and I'm still going to put my customer and client decks in this so that they don't get messed up with my everyday users. All right, so here it is, all nice and organized and dust free. So this is all my winter fall stuff here, and I just kind of have it all combined together. And then this is all my spring summer stuff, and once again, it's just all combined together as well. All right, so now that I have that section beside me all organized and categorized and the way that I want it to look, I'm now going to deal with this basket that was sitting on the shelf above it all. So this kind of ended up being a collect-all, and it had business cards and stickers that I've gotten from decks, and the little sleeves that go on the decks that hold it all together, and just a whole bunch of random stuff. It also had all of this stuff in here. So this tends to be where I keep decks that I only work with my customers, but I also have decks like this that just, they never came in anything but these bags, right? So they need to have a home, right? So I kind of put them in this bag. Now, this is just like that Dirty Pam. I'm not going to open it up, but this is my Dirty Pam. I read for clients only with this. This was my very, very, very first taste of tarot. So this is what I kind of learned off of. It's old. I used it for a while. I used it actually quite a bit. Like, look how dirty it is. It's very dirty. Um, it's just the majors. And this is what I learned. This is what I learned tarot off of right here. And then I ended up, there's a deck between this one and the Llewellyn, but it went missing. I don't know if I lost it in a move from an apartment, from like when I moved from my apartments. I don't know if someone ended up stealing it or if I left it somewhere. I have no idea. So the deck between this one and the Llewellyn has disappeared. That's the one I did a lot of stuff with and a lot of my learning with. Um, but then, you know, like I said, this was my first one, and this came in a like a little kit that came with Chi coins and ruins, but the ruins were all plastic, which is hilarious. But and half of them were missing, but that's, you know, what there was back then, so that's what we had. Um, so I'm gonna put these here. This is my Centennial, and like I said in the previous video that I just did, I use this for customers only, customers and clients. But I do also use it for myself on occasion when I feel the need to just go traditional, right? And I want to talk to just a basic Rider Waite deck because I've bonded very deeply with my Rider Waite system. So I'm good with that. This is just a bunch of like random crystals that I put in here and I have just close by. This is for when I'm doing photo shoots or when I'm decorating this for my YouTube channel. I've got these two decks. So this one never came with a box. This is the third eye arcane, right? Wonderful deck from a little Montreal creator. You might be able to find it on Etsy. Wonderful deck, love it. It's a summer deck. It's a late summer deck. So I'm just going to throw it in here. And then I've got the little mini version of the Roots and Wings, right? The little mini. And that hangs out in here too. And I like to keep everything flat because I don't want my decks bowing. This here is, I use this for my winter fall readings for my clients, even though it's like super shiny. It's ridiculous. It's like glass. But it's got a nice dark color palette. It's just your traditional Rider Waite. It's perfect. It's starting to get a little bit of like wear and tear and schmutz on it, but that's okay. That's what it's for. That's what I bought it for. But it's a great color palette for the winter fall months. So that's what I use this for. And I just keep it in this box. And I just stick the little book in it because when you fold it, I would rather wreck the book than the cards. So that's for customers in there. This is the deck that I just showed in the previous video, the Golden Universal Tarot, that I'm going to be retiring. I'm just going to deal with these here, and then we'll take a look at this. So these are just extra little baggies, like tarot card deck bags that I have. And what I'm going to do is anytime I have a card, a deck that I'm working with that has like a tuck box like this, and I don't want to be constantly opening and closing it to work with it, I'm going to take them out and I'm going to put them into these bags. And then, when I'm done with it, it can then go back into its tuck box. So yeah, this is all nice and organized now. Look at how nice that is. It's half empty. It had so much stuff in it, just so much crap in it. But the big version of the roots and wings will go back into this basket because I have it out right now because I'm going to be working with it. And plus the Tarot Ramage Estrange, that'll be going back in here too because it sits in its bag as well because it doesn't really fit back into its box very well. So that will take up this space very, very nicely. Now, this deck here, this deck is not in print anymore. It's a heavy user for me. I've had it for many years. And like I said in the previous video, it went from being just my deck to working with customers. And now it works with customers. But if you can see how it's so mangled up. I tried to color the edges to hide the damage, but as you can see, you can still see the damage. So this is a lovely traditional Rider-Waite. Love it. I enjoy using it. It's fast. It's a quick read, but it's not in print anymore. So I've decided to take it out of the heavy rotation, and I actually went and found its box and all of its contents. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it away. I'll still use it occasionally, but I'm taking it out of the heavy rotation. Look at how much, look at the difference in backs. This is like the brand new card. The camera's not picking it up, but there's a big difference. There's a lot of wear and tear on this deck. So I'm going to put it away. It's going to go, and it's just not going to be in heavy rotation anymore. And I'm just going to kind of retire it, right? Semi-retired. Where like my Llewellyn is semi-retired as well too. So as my decks get older and they get really worn, I retire them. And I only use them on special occasions. See, and this is why I put the book in here, right? Because this tuck box is tight, and it's going to, yeah, it's going to totally mess up this book. Not that it matters, but I like to try to not damage it. There we go. So this will go up onto my shelves, and not with the rest of these cards down here off to the side. This is going to go up off of into another shelf where it's just not going to get used. This is going to go onto the shelf above my decks where I use, so I can grab stuff as I need it out of here. All right, so I'm going to put the stuff away. So now I did do some purging. These are going to be being moved on and going to someone else. I will probably just throw them up into my shop. So if anyone's interested in them, they'll be on sale in there. And yeah, this one though, these two are going to somebody in my family that wants to get these. This is the second version of the Dark Goddess that got damaged. Amazon didn't even want it back. They told me to keep it or throw it in the garbage. So my one of my relatives are going to take it, and they're going to work with it because, I mean, it was damaged, but it wasn't that bad. It's still a usable deck. So that's going to go to her. And then I think she's going to end up purchasing my second edition Stunning Tarot off of me, because since I have the fourth edition, I don't need this one. I didn't bond with this one very well. I'm going to see if she does. If she doesn't, this one might go for sale in my shop. And then these ones definitely here. I thought really long and hard about this. I just put this in the video, the last video that I just did. And I really sat and thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. And, you know, I'm not working with it. Somebody out there might connect really, really, really good with this deck. However, I'm just not connecting with it. I think it's beautiful. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I think it's a very interesting deck. It's mass market. It's brand spanking new. Like, I haven't even looked at the book's not even creased. Like, I barely even opened it and looked at it. It's got so much information. It's got a lot of wonderful stuff, and we kind of looked at these cards fast. They're wonderful, they're lovely, but it's just not for me. I'm not connecting with it. I'm just it's just not jiving with me. It's not resonating with me. So I'm going to move it on. And I'm going to move it into, it'll be on the Soot Salt online shop. It'll be on there under the Lightly Loved. And then I thought about it too after the video I did, just the previous video. This was in there too. I sat down, I looked at it. It's an awesome deck. It's an indie deck. I don't even know if it has so 2016. It's a really cool deck, but I just don't have the time to sit down and learn its system. So it reads chakras. It does a whole bunch of stuff. It's got shadow. These are shadow cards, so it's really neat. But this is going to be being moved on too. It's not resonating with me. I don't have time to sit down and learn its system, so it's going to be being moved on. And then there's this one here. So this is a wonderful indie deck that I purchased, and I don't use it. There's many other decks that I go to, and this is a little bag that she put it in that it came with, which is really cute. So it's called the Messenger Cards, Guidance from the Animal Spirits by Sandra Kuntz. So this is a wonderful, wonderful little deck. I like it. It's really neat. These are its backs. It's very nice. Beautiful artwork. I've worked with it a handful of times, but it doesn't resonate with me. There's other decks in my collection that I go to before it. So, and every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. But I think I'm going to move it on. It's brand new. I've literally used it maybe 4 times, if that. And this is a cute little deck. Like I said, if this one doesn't sell, I'll just move it back into my collection. It's not a big deal. But if it can find a home with somebody who is going to work with it and love it and use it, I would much rather that than it just to sit on my shelves. And like I said, it gets overlooked. I have other decks that fill this space. So these are the ones that I'm purging and moving on, which isn't too bad. 5 decks. Not too shabby. So I'm happy about that. Okay, so now I wanted to put together a basket or a box. It's going to be a box because it's right here. That can hold the decks that I want to work with for this season. So instead of me digging down underneath there and pulling decks out all the time and messing up my stacks, because that looks really organized and nice, what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick out the ones that I want to work with and put them in here. So I'll go grab the ones that I'm thinking I'm going to be putting in. Okay, so these are the decks that I want to work with for sure. Obviously, I have a whole bunch of other ones to work with that I will pull in if, I feel like I want to. But these are the ones that I want to work with for what's left of April and probably May. So these are like my springtime decks. These are the ones that give me spring vibes, maybe even into early summer feels. Okay, so the first ones that I want to work with, I mean, this isn't in any specific order. I'm just going to bring them down as they're just going to fit in, right? So new to me, fairly new to me, is the Moonchild. If I can get it, and the Star Child. So I brought both these in to sell them in the store. And I purchased this one for myself first, fell in love with it, and I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to bring in all the Danielle Noel decks, like most definitely happening. So I brought them in to have them in the shop. They are for sale. They are fabulous and wonderful. Um, love the Moon Child. The Star Child. So if you know this deck, and I'm just going to flip through it really fast. I have barely even worked with this. Cat hair. I see, and I always keep like the sleeve things. I don't know why, but I do. Okay. I absolutely love the cardstock. I like the size of it. I like the feel that it has. Like I like the finish. So this is this extra card, the star seed that she puts in. And for the most part, I really like this deck. I like the imagery. I think it's really cool. But there are some things about it that are strange. And if you know this deck, you know. You know what I'm talking about. There's some bizarre. I gotta move this out of the way, sorry. I feel crowded. The majority of the cards are absolutely stunning and gorgeous. Bright color palette for spring, going into summer, right? But then you have weird things where it's like maybe that it was I think it's the pages. The knights are all men, which, whatever, that's cool. But then you get some of these pictures where like the character just doesn't seem to suit the environment, right? And then you get stuff like this where it's fantastic. Pretty good. Not too bad. Like I can work with that. Some of them are phenomenal. I'm going to say a majority of this deck, almost all of this deck is beautiful. Phenomenal. I can work with it. No problems. Yeah, see, here's all your kings. It's kind of in order because I did a photo shoot with it. So all your kings, your 5 of cups. Like some of these cards are just stunning. Not my favorite high priestess, but not horrible. I can live with it. But there's some cards in here, and I don't know if we're going to see them, but like, and this one's not even that bad, but to me, it looks like her head's too big for the rest of her body. So like, they're just like not proportionally correct. And then there's stuff like this where like this girl just looks like like a really normal girl, where all the rest of these look kind of like cosmic star beings, right? So I feel like that's a little strange about the deck, but I can still overlook it. But then you have this, and I'm trying really hard to just not let it bug me because, like I said, I actually really like this deck, but I don't like this card. Like, she literally looks like a crackhead. So I don't know what's going on with that, but then you have stuff like this, like an amazing image. So I don't know. Sorry, somebody texting me. Um, but then like this, a little strange. It's a very everyday looking person where the rest of them are very cosmic looking. So I don't know. I'm not going to judge it. I'm going to work with it. I'm going to spend time with it because, like I said, for a majority, it's, it's pretty good. I like it. And I want to spend time with it. And I did do a reading with it yesterday, and it was pretty damn good. And I was like, all right, I hear you. I hear you. And like I said, a majority of the deck, I'm fine with it. Okay. But then there's this. And this is just like the Hierophant. I took a marker and tried to color on the face, but because of the texture, like I wanted to like black out the face. Um, I don't know if it'll pick up on the camera, but it's like there's a face. And the funny thing is this is like a girl falling, and the face looks like Channing Tatum, Channing. You know who I'm talking about. Magic Mike. Um, it literally looks like his face. That's messed up. But I guess if you look like a guy falling out of the sky wearing a dress, like I guess that is a tower moment, right? Like I don't know, but this card is horrible. And then there's like a face here, and it's not picking it up on the camera, but there's like a man face here too. So like I don't know, this card's weird. If she would have just put hair over this and just made it all hair, Like I can deal with that. Like that's an okay tower card, but putting on like Channing Tatum's face on this card is messed up. And it's not him. It looks like him. It's really weird. But yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, some of these cards are so right, and then some of these cards are so like look at that. Like amazing. And that's why I said like some of them, this one too. Some of them are so right, and then other ones are just not good. And it's kind of like proportions, like some people are not proportionally correct and just weird things. But I still want to work with it. It's the right color palette for the spring. You know, I want to spend time with it, so I'm putting it in here. It's going to sit right here. The other one is the Moonchild. I'm not going to open it and look at it. Everybody has seen the Moonchild. It's been around for a million years, just like the Star Child. Everyone's probably seen it. But I want to work with it. So in it goes. It has a great color palette for spring too. It's that light pastel-y, beautiful pinks and purples and light blues and turquoises, and it's just it's beautiful. So both of these I want to work with. Now, I also want to work with the Hush. The Hush Tarot, I really I need to work with it. I've spent a little bit of time with it, but just not enough. So I feel on like kind of darker, overcast, gloomy days of spring, I'm gonna pull out this bad boy and I'm gonna work with it. So I really, really want to spend time with this deck. I seem to every time I sit down to like work with this deck, I end up having a really busy month and I don't get the opportunity to work with any of my decks, hardly at all. So I'm doing it with this one. This one's it's happening. I'm gonna definitely I'm working on it. Working with it, I should say. Now, in the previous video, I talked about how much I love this deck, and I do, and I never show it because it literally lives next to my bed. I use this deck all the time. So this is the indie edition of Phohexa, and this is by MJ, so the same creator as the Crow and the Urban Crow. These cards stink. If you have this deck, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if it's the ink, I don't know what it is, but the cards reek. But this deck is so beautiful. I don't really care. So it's a lovely fairy deck. Um, it can be used in fall, but I'm gonna work with it this spring. And like I said, I love it. It's such a beautiful deck. It's such a good read. Cardstock's a little slippery. The cards are a little big. Like I have to stretch pretty good to get my hands on it. Boom. But it's okay. You can go this like I don't like shuffling this way. It feels weird. If I have to, I will, but I'll just make my hands stretch and dislocate my thumb. And then it hurts me for a couple days. But whatever. I don't care. But yeah, I love the Phohexa. Just an absolutely amazing, stunning deck. And I'm not really into fairies. I'm not really into fae energy. But I like this deck. So I'm definitely working with this one this spring. But like I said, it like lives next to my bed. I work with it all the time. But I'm putting it into my spring box, and I'm gonna put it into rotation and stop giving it a special seat. The other deck that I'm gonna work with, everybody knows this beauty. Wonderful, wonderful little deck. One of my favorites. Absolutely adore this deck. And that is the Tarot de Cartides. Great spring energy, beautiful light color palette, tons of fun. This will go right into summer, I feel. Like I feel this can go right into summer. So this is a great deck to go all the way kind of through with. Oops. Great backs. So yeah, this one's definitely going into my spring box. I love the size of it. Like I think it's so cute. And like look how cool it is. And it matches the cards. Just the cutest little thing. I love this deck. All right, so I'm going to work with it. Now, the other ones I'm going to work with too is obviously, like most people, the Tarot Ramage Estrage. Great deck to work right into with. It's got these nice dark, overcast, gloomy cards like how spring can be, especially in Canada. And then these beautiful, bright, vibrant cards like when it rains and everything starts to grow and it warms up and everything turns like that neon green outside. It's wonderful. This is definitely, and I love this deck. It's a great read. Really enjoyed my time with it. So, but I'm going to put it into rotation because I've been kind of overlooking it and I don't want to do that. I want to work with it. So, into my spring box, it's going to go. All right. And then I think I'm going to work with the Roots and Wings. I absolutely love this deck. This is like one of my go-tos. But I think like I'm going to work with it. This is another deck that can go right into from spring to summer, I feel, easily. I love this one. I love the cardstock. Love the way it feels. I love its messages. It pairs with so many things. So I'm gonna, I didn't know if I was gonna hold off for summer to start working with this. Still haven't 100% made my mind up, but I'm gonna put it in here with the spring stuff just to see. I might end up swapping it out with something else, but I feel like I'm gonna work with it for sure. I do have a couple more. Sorry, like I'm just looking off to the side here at my collection. There are a few more that I might pull out to work with, but I'm feeling like these are gonna be my my staples, like my definites. So I feel like I have a little bit more room. So I'm trying to decide if there's anything else that I want to pull out and definitely work with for the spring. I feel like I kind of need some animal energy. I've got some fairies, I got some cosmic. Sorry. I think I'm going to get an animal deck. And I'm just trying to decide between the Winter Seer or the Woodland Wardens. So one thing that's good about doing this is that you realize what you're kind of short on. And I don't have many animal decks. Besides the Winter Seer and the Woodland Wardens, I don't think I have any other animal energy. So other than like the crow and like the urban crow oracle, other than that, I don't have any other animal energy. So I definitely need to be paying attention to that. And I think the next time I make any type of purchases, I maybe need to be figuring out like some animal decks that speak to me. But I'm going to put Woodland Wardens in this box to work with if I can find somewhere for it to fit. Because I think that like I don't know if I have enough room. I think I definitely want to work with it. And I'm not going to flip through it. Everybody knows what it is. It's a mass market deck. It's readily available. And then I have like my botanicals. So if they're in big boxes, like big fancy boxes, I'm not going to put them in here, obviously. But I'm going to be working with my Hedge Witch. I'm going to be working with the Antique Anatomy. I want to work with Claire Goodchild's deck with that one as well too. It's just the mass market one that I have. So I'll be working with that one as well on top of these. And then, like I said, I feel like I have to obviously maybe start looking at getting some more animal energy. I just haven't found the animal energy deck that speaks to me, I guess. I haven't really found any. I do have the Knowing, which is a shaman oracle. I do have that one, but I use that one is very strictly in my meditation practices. So I don't really like I don't really read with it as far as a tarot card reading. I use it for something completely different. So that is an animal based deck, but like I said, I don't use it for this kind of stuff. So I think that's a good start. So this will be my springtime box and maybe even going into early summer, but then I'm going to be pulling out like my summer decks, which I'll be doing a video on that on when that comes around. This kind of turned into like my spring decks, but this is all about just organizing and cleansing and cleaning and moving on some decks that have been sitting around that I've finally made the decision that I'm done with them. We're going to move on from them. So yeah, so this is going to be like my spring box, and I'm going to find somewhere really cool to put it. And so I can just keep these decks in rotation and use them as I want to use them. I always mean on doing that. Like I always want to do that, but then I get like a new deck in and then I'm super excited about it. And then I spend time with that instead of with these. So I'm going to start trying to kind of like stick to that. But I'm pretty much almost at the point of like, if I bring something in, something's got to go. So because I've moved on those 5 decks that I just got rid of, obviously I can then maybe bring in a few more. I feel at this point I have to start being really picky about what I'm bringing into my collection, and I need to start picking decks that fill the holes in my collection. I want a really well-rounded collection going. So by organizing and looking at them this way and doing what I did today, I've realized that like I kind of have a direction on where I want to go. And I need to start maybe picking, I want some more animal energy decks. I definitely don't need any more cosmic energy. Like between the Moonchild, Star Child, the Lioness Oracle Tarot, the Intuitive Night Goddess. Like I feel like I've got that covered, right? And I didn't have as many winter fall decks as I thought. I have more spring summer decks, which is really weird because I would have thought that I had more fall winter collection, but I don't. So that's really strange too. So when like you actually start organizing things and going through it, you start realizing like it's so different than what I thought I had. So I don't know. But yeah. So I have my little spring box going for the most part. I might add a few more things into it. Like I said, anything that's in like the great big huge fancy boxes like the Hedge Witch and Winter Seer, um, and like the Antique Anatomy, I'm going to be working with those too as well. But they're nice and big, and I might actually put them into those baggies that I said so that I could just kind of have them here and have them in my collection to work with. But yeah, so that's what I have for my spring cleaning organization video. Sorry if it's a little chopped up. I had to do it in different periods throughout the day as I had the time between clients and different things that were happening. So thanks for joining in. Subscribe, like, all that wonderful stuff. And like I always say, I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a nice night. Bye. Don't forget to organize and spring clean. It's very important. It makes it feel good to have a nice clean space.